Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Justin Green. If it's your first time here, you may want to consider subscribing because we do some pretty cool things here on the channel. But without further ado, you guys are here today to talk about the sticky holster and the pros and cons of why you may or may not want to carry this. Let's go take a look at it and I will tell you my thoughts at the very end. So we'll see you in just a second. Alright, but before we get started, let's take a second to show the people who may not know what a sticky holster is. Let's explain that real quick and before we dig down into the list. Okay, so basically sticky holsters are a no clip, no loop holster. As you can see here, it is just this little neoprene type material. It's kind of flexible, but as you can see, there's no clips or no loops to hold this. Basically, this material on the outside is a sticky material, hence the name sticky holsters. And these are going to be used to either held up against your waistband by friction with a belt, or in your pocket by the friction that this material has to your skin or to your clothes. So that's what a sticky holster is, and that's why we're going to talk about the pros and cons of carrying one of these. Okay, so let's talk about con number one, guys. Because this thing has no loops or clips or anything like that, that can be a con. If you don't use this thing correctly, you may see some failures out of it. But with the correct training and the correct clothing that you wear with this thing, it does suffice as a great holster, I think. But I do have to say that as a con, because you can't actually physically secure this to you without just considering the friction that this is going to be caused by this material. So that's definitely con number one. Let's go look at the next one. Okay, so con number two about the sticky holsters is that anytime you draw your weapon and you're ready to reholster, you can't just leave it in your pants or in your pocket or wherever it may be. You have to physically remove the holster, put your weapon back in it, and then reseat it back into whatever position that you're carrying in. So to me, that's not a big deal because, as long as the holster does its job when I go to draw my weapon, I could care less about having to get it back down in there. It takes about 2 seconds. But I did think that was something worth mentioning to you guys if you've never used one of these, so take that into consideration. But let's go look at the third con. Okay, for con number three, that's going to be weapon retention. So for this point, I'm going to go ahead and get my firearm out, and we are going to make sure that this thing is clear. As you can see, there's nothing in there. We're clear here, so this is going to remain clear and safe for the rest of this video. But like I said, con number three is going to be the retention. So these holsters have no retention on the weapons other than just the snug fit that you get by buying the proper sticky holster for the weapon that you're going to use it for, and by however it is that you end up carrying it. So for me personally, I carry my sticky holsters in the appendix inner waistband position. So whenever you place that in there and you get your belt wrapped around your pants and the holster itself, tightening and wearing a snug belt is going to make sure that you have the proper retention that you're going to need. But as you can see, I mean, the gun isn't going to come out unless you physically want it to, but there is no necessary retention built into these. So that is definitely worth mentioning. You want to make sure when you go with a sticky holster that you are using the proper attire to carry this in. I can't stress that enough. These are not just going to be something that'll work with every single thing like you may hope it will. You kind of have to pick and choose your attire to work with the holster. Alright guys, and lastly, for con number four that I can bring you guys is going to be for the longevity of these holsters. Because of the material that they are made out of, if you do carry these on a day-to-day basis, you will start to see some wear and tear on these. Just over, probably a couple years worth of time on the other holster that I had, I did start to notice that the material kind of lost some of its grip that it had. And that's really what makes these holsters what they are, is the material that they're made out of and the kind of grip and adhesiveness that they have to your skin and clothes and other items like that. So once you start seeing some wear on those, you're going to have to probably go buy another one. That is a thing. I don't think you're going to get more than about 1.5 years or 2 years of daily carry out of one of these, especially if you're constantly taking it in and out at the range and things like that. I think you're going to see some quicker wear and tear on this than what you would if this is something that's kind of a backup holster or something like that. But that is definitely a con. It's not going to last forever. Nothing does. But yeah, you definitely want to take that into consideration, that if you do carry this as a daily like I do, you're going to probably be buying one of these for your gun every couple years at least. So that's all I got for the cons. Now, without further ado, I do love the sticky holsters, so I wanted to leave the pros for last because I do like to leave things on a positive note, and I want you guys to like this thing as much as I do, so I wanted to leave the pros toward the end of the video so I could bring those out to your attention and then possibly help you guys decide whether this is going to be something that's for you or not. So let's go ahead and look at pro number 1. I'll do that now. Okay, so for the pro number 1 is going to be construction. Considering that this thing is what it is, they're actually made very well. The stitching is nice and heavy duty. The sticky material that they use on these, if used in the proper way, guys, is super sticky, which is what you want in this kind of a holster. But yeah, the total construction of these things, I have to give it an A+. They are made really well. I've owned multiple of these. I've never had one with a defect before, and I don't expect to, because Sticky Holster does obviously take pride in the product that they make. So let's go look at pro number 2. Alright, pro number 2 is going to be comfort. If you're like me and you've always carried your traditional, like Kydex holsters, when you make the move to a sticky holster, it's night and day difference in comfort, guys. I have a little bit of a gut on me, and I do prefer to carry this as the appendix inner waistband, and this holster here is 10 to 1 more comfortable than anything else I've found on the market, and that's a big thing to me. If you want to be comfortable and feel confident carrying a weapon, you want to feel comfort when you do carry it. If you're always got a holster on that's digging into your gut or your side or whatever, you're just not going to feel as confident carrying that gun in that holster as you would for something that is nice and comfortable and you don't really think about when it's in there. So definitely check out, if you're looking for something comfortable that's like me, you've got a little bit of a gut on you and you want something that doesn't dig into you quite like a Kydex holster does, definitely check out the sticky holsters. So let's go look at the next pro. Okay, for our next pro, it's going to be the inner liner on this thing. Now, if you're like me, guys, even though this is a weapon and I know what purpose it's supposed to serve, I do like my things to always look good and clean and nice. So I don't necessarily want my gun to get scratched up and marred up if it doesn't have to. So with traditional Kydex style holsters, there is a chance that you'll be getting some marks when you constantly take drawing and reholstering into to the holster. And I don't necessarily want that. I like my things to be nice and look good. So with the sticky holsters, this mesh inner liner, there is no chance that it's going to mar up or scratch or do any kind of damage to your weapon. So it's always going to keep it looking nice and neat. And to me, that's definitely a pro because, like I said, I like my things to look good and look nice. So I definitely think that was worth mentioning. Let's go on to the next one. Pro number 4 is going to be for application. Like I said, guys, as long as you're using this thing properly, this is going to do the exact job that you want it to do. Now, with enough practice, you have to feel comfortable with that. But once you get this thing perfectly seated how you like it, in your waist or pocket or however that may be, anytime you draw your gun, this holster is going to stay perfectly in place. You're going to pull the holster out, reholster it, put your gun back in, go about your business, and then once again, if you have to draw, there you go. It's going to stay in there time and time again as long as you're using it properly and cinching your belt up against it or using it in as a pocket holster. I can't say enough about how well these do work. So I have to make that a pro because it does do what they say it will do. My next pro for you is going to be the cost on these. Sticky holsters are relatively inexpensive when you compare them to other holsters out on the market. Now, yes, I do remember the con that this isn't going to last you forever. But with that being said, if you've got to replace this holster every couple years, you can get these things for about $25 to $30 on Amazon or on Sticky Holsters website, or even at your local gun shop. To me, I think it is a great price considering that these holsters can be used as pocket carry, in the waistband carry, or just something that you could have in your glove box in your vehicle, down in between your seats in the vehicle. There's many applications for this little holster. So for me, $25, I'll spend that all day to get that much and that many uses out of it. Okay, my next pro is going to be the footprint that this holster leaves. Now, as you can tell, guys, this holster is not much bigger than the actual weapon itself, and what parts are out there are flexible. So like I said, depending on how you carry this and how much use you put it through, this is actually going to mold to this specific gun the more that you use it. And when it's in your waist or in your pocket, like traditional holsters, there's going to be sharp edges and points that you might be able to see. Now, a lot of people may not ever even notice that you're carrying, regardless of what holster type you're wearing. But this one here is going to fold and kind of mold more to your style of carry, and it's going to leave a smaller footprint than any holster on the market. I guarantee it. A definite pro that you want for in any holster you get is that it properly covers and holsters your weapon. So Sticky Holster makes many different sizes. You can go on their site, you can put in the gun that you're looking to get one for, and they're going to recommend you a holster for that gun. For mine, the P365, I'm looking at a SM5, and as you can tell, guys, it holds the gun in there exactly how it's supposed to. It covers the trigger and the trigger guard completely, so nothing's going to be able to get down in there and poke the trigger, push on the trigger that you don't want it to. And that is probably one of the most important things in a holster, is you want to make sure that it does cover the gun the way it's supposed to. And we're talking about the trigger assembly and even the trigger guard. I think that it should always cover that. So had to mention that. That's no matter what you're looking for, you want a holster that covers that gun properly. Alright guys, the last pro that I have for you is going to be the diversity of a Sticky holster. If you're like me, like I said, I like to carry appendix in the waistband, but you're not limited to that specific position with this holster. You can carry at the 3 o'clock, you can carry at the 3:30 to 4 o'clock, you can carry in your mid-lower back, you can carry at one dead center appendix. It does not matter with this holster. As long as you have the proper cinching system on your belt to hold this thing against your skin in between your pants, you can literally put this gun in any position in your waistband that you want. Now, with that being said, whenever you're like me, if I get in the car and I know I'm going to be doing, a long set in the car, and I don't want this thing digging into my gut the entire time, it's as simple as when you sit down, you pull the gun and the holster all out at one time. I can put this down in between the seats of my car, and it also works very well when it's trapped between the console and the seat. And when you go to draw, if you ever have to in your vehicle, the holster is going to stay in between the seats while your gun comes out. If you don't want to keep it there, you can also keep it in your glove box in your center console. When you get home, if you want to lock this thing up, you pull the holster, the gun all at one time, put it in your safe, do whatever you need to do, your nightstand, however it is you store your gun when you get home. That is what makes this thing so diverse, guys. You're not limited to just one carry position and then, having to remove the gun, take a belt loop off of your belt and all that. You can simply just remove the gun holster, do what you want to do with it, and go on about your business. Alright guys, that's all I got for you today. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Like I said, if you've never subscribed to the channel, you may want to consider doing so now. We do some pretty cool things here on the channel. If you have subscribed, I'll appreciate you guys for coming back. Leave me a like down below. That lets me know what kind of content to keep bringing you guys. And if you don't care, share this for me on Facebook, Twitter, wherever. Help support the channel. That way I can keep bringing you guys quality content. But with all that said, I'm going to get out of here, so I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.